This could be a picture of a typical American family. And so could this. And so could this. And so could this.
And so could we. The picture of what's considered to be the typical American family has changed from the one our parents and their parents lived. The one that Sheila, Katie, Carrie, and I, and you know, is more than a mother, a father, and a couple of kids. Come on, Katie, let's go play.
Go play with
Come
Daddy.
on, we're gonna go play. Yeah. Daddy play,
Daddy
yeah.
play. Bye-bye, honey. Today, the typical family may be mom and dad and a couple of kids, or it's just as likely to be blended with children from previous marriages or a single parent raising children alone. Ideas on parenting have changed right along with the ways the family settings have changed. More than 3/4 of mothers work out of the home, some full-time, some part-time. The majority of children are raised in urban settings or cities. They may be a few minutes, hours, or even days from grandparents, aunts, uncles, or cousins. Hi, guys. Are you dancing? Excuse me. That also removes parents from getting quick advice from relatives. And sometimes that makes moms and dads a little bit nervous. Support may be difficult to find. In this series, we take a look at common questions and concerns that parents have through different stages of parenting and offer solutions from those who have learned by trial and error and lots of hands-on experience. The real experts, other parents.
Being a parent for me means that my life isn't so much the number one thing anymore. I have a little one that takes over number one.
Parenting to me means a lot of responsibility and challenges, from seeing and overseeing a baby grow through its early years up into its teenage years until the time it's a responsible adult.
It's finding little surprises in your tennis shoes when you get up to go to work in the morning. And it's having to be up 3 times in the same night and having to change clothes 3 times in that same night because you're up with a sick child.
To me, being a parent means having a lot of responsibility and accepting that responsibility and being someone's best friend for their entire life.
Some people just assume they'll have children once they are married and settled into a lifestyle that allows for family additions, but not everyone knows what time is the right time.
And we found ourselves in a financial situation where we decided to sell our business, and we took a loss. And at that point, we weren't ready to have kids. We weren't ready to, the decision of making, having a family at that point was very scary. It wasn't even something we even considered. Now that as we've rebounded from that earlier experience, we've found ourselves a little bit out of debt. And those are things that you have to consider.
Our mothers and their mothers didn't really have many options when it came to having a family. Children were a possible result of sexual relationships. Availability of and improvements in birth control have made parenthood more of an option for some women rather than an inevitability. With that power of choice comes the price of making decisions.
Well, people decide to have children for probably 3 basic reasons. One is because it's societally accepted and people expect you to have children. The second is they think it's something that's going to enrich their lives and carry on the name or the tradition. And third is not a decision. It just happens.
The truth is, there's no set schedule that everyone can follow. There's no definite right time to start a family. And once you do begin to have children, you'll probably think it's happening too soon. Here's some questions to ask yourself before you take the big step into parenthood. Ask yourself, How will having a child affect my lifestyle? How will it affect my relationship with my partner? How will it affect my job or career? Would my partner be a good parent? What other kind of support do we have?
The decision just came very naturally. We were very comfortable with each other and at a point where we were comfortable with ourselves and just felt that we were ready and needed a little bit more to make life interesting. So we, without much talking really, just pretty much agreed that we wanted to have children.
It was hard, it was stressful knowing that I was only 17 at the time. Well, 16 when I found out, but 17 when I started really showing. Knowing people was talking about me behind my back and facing the fact that I was pregnant and that I had a baby on the way. But other than that, it was fine. My parents supported me and everything went well that way.
We decided, when we got married that we were going to have children soon. We weren't going to wait, a few years like most couples nowadays seem to do. We decided as soon as we were financially stable that we were going to go ahead and have children.
I wasn't a good pregnant person. It was hard. Pregnancy was hard on our marriage, I thought. I was just so tired and sick and uncomfortable during both of them. It was a relief to not be pregnant anymore.
I think it was an incredible journey for both of us in many ways. Besides the physical changes and the emotional changes you sometimes go through, aside from all of those things, I think it was a good experience for both of us. I knew that he loved me even when I was out to here, and I think that was, it was another growth period for us as a couple.
It was like I couldn't do anything. It's just like, okay, well, don't do this because you might fall, or you can't go this because there's going to be smoke here, or you can't eat that because,
I haven't experienced any cravings yet. The only
Hot peppers?
No. The only
You bought 2 jars of hot peppers.
the only
You never bought hot peppers before.
The one thing most successful parents have in common is the ability to adjust to constant change. For most parents, the changes begin as soon as they find out that a baby is on the way.
Pregnancy is not a disease. It's a normal process taking place. There are certain complications that we can get into, and that's where the obstetrician really comes into. A woman would get into a situation, gee, is this normal? Well, that's where the obstetrician, this is what I tell my patient, I'm available at all times, because small questions to her might be a major thing to me, a major question for her might not be that important, but they need some resources, and I think that's what the obstetrician is supposed to be providing.
I think to listen to your doctor is very important. He's not going to tell you to do something just to be telling you to do it. He's going to tell you to do things for a reason. It will make your pregnancy go easier if you rest when he tells you to rest, and of course taking your vitamins and taking care of yourself.
Being supportive, having your husband be supportive is probably the best thing that you can have to help you get through it, because it wasn't fun at all.
Just things that soothe you. If a cup of hot tea helps you, then a cup of hot tea is what you do. Just little things like that would make a big difference when your feet hurt and your back hurts and you're not very comfortable.
With all the attention centered on the expectant mother and child, the needs and concerns of a father-to-be are often left out of the picture. Fatherhood is just as important for men as motherhood is for women. The feelings of fear can be just as powerful for the father as it can the mother. Men may feel abandoned by women who are suddenly preoccupied with their own changes. Some may question their ability to commit to the responsibility a baby brings.
I guess going through pregnancy from my perspective was, especially the first time, there was so much uncertainty really and not knowing, and you really don't, you're not prepared for having children, and you don't really realize what it's all about until finally it comes.
I kid her all the time and say that it's worse on the man because you have to do everything, and it makes life a lot harder, but it's enjoyable at the same time.
He has to make decisions about his career and how much of an involved parent he will be. Financial decisions become an issue. Time decisions become an issue. For the mother, if she is a career person, she has to make some decisions. If she's a single parent, she has to make other kinds of decisions about how they're going to spend their time and make a very firm decision that the child is going to now be the predominant focus in their lives versus each other.
Well, I haven't had the sympathy, morning sickness or anything like that, but you know, we're really close, and our families are all really close. So, you know, I get excited when the baby's moving, and I lay down there and feel the baby, and you know, things like that.
You saw the ultrasound?
Yeah, it was in the ultrasound actually, which they didn't tell us that you could videotape the ultrasound, so we didn't have a videotape there, but you know, all that was all real exciting for me.
Every time Jeannie was snappy or
Snappy.
or maybe a little ill-humored, I just remembered that she's carrying another person inside of her. She's got a lot of weight and a lot of stresses, and her hormones, and her body's really out of whack, and something I'll never go through. Probably will never feel that bad unless I'm having surgery or something like that, and you just gotta take it with a grain of salt. Just remember the context.
You know, we were still trying to have our relationship grow, and then to throw something else into the equation, you know, made it difficult.
I think this baby will really make us even closer. You know, even our families closer to us. But I really think it's going to, you know, make us a lot closer. Kind of give us more of a bond than what we already have.
It's just something that all women like to share. It's an experience that is unlike any other.
Things can be pretty tough when a baby's on the way for both mother and father. It always helps to find someone else in the same situation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Birthing classes are a great place to not only prepare you for delivery, but also ease you through pregnancy. They're a good place to build a network of friends who know exactly what you're going through.
This is when the baby is coming through, coming down. And you notice the placenta's up here. We'll talk more about that. That's where it should be.
Birth classes, which are conducted through most local hospitals, provide not only practical information and guidance through the pregnancy and birth, but also a peer group. Women's groups, family therapists, and health clinics provide alternative support.
We'll give you a lot of support in the class and sharing with other couples, your fears you might have. That's normal to be afraid. It will help decrease your anxiety. And when your anxieties decrease, that helps you with the pain level is going to seem less.
Most of my friends who have had children have all said, you don't need it, you know, you can have a baby without going to the classes, but we both feel that it's important to learn the format of the hospital in addition to, you know, what goes on when you're having a baby.
My sister was pregnant the exact same time I was, so she and I could call and compare notes and miseries, and it was, having her there was also very nice. My family was extremely supportive. It would have been horrible if I hadn't had my family and Brian being such supportive people.
Sure, we've gotten a lot of support through our church, I think. They really like young families, and we've made a lot of friends that way. And Charlie's sister has helped me out a lot. She stays home too, so we're a good support system for each other. Call each other a lot.
It's getting close to lunchtime. Anybody hungry?
I am.
Okay, I'll get started.
A family is more than people living together. At its best, it's a source of nurturing, protection, and guidance. The health of a family can be judged by its ability to value all its members and meet their needs. So, how do you learn to be a family?
I think you just try to work
Practice.
together. Yeah, practice and try to work together as best you can.
Being a family doesn't mean just to have kids. It means to cooperate with each other and know that it changes your life.
I think the biggest issue with that is sharing. I mean, we share everything, and I think that's the biggest part of it. Except for when someone wants a lot of room, you have to move. But I think sharing is my biggest key.
When we watch a mother animal caring for her babies, it's easy to think that parenting is a skill that comes naturally, but that's not totally true.
Motherhood is not an instinctive response in the sense of parenting skills. The instinct to be a mother or to be a parent is built into us. The ability to become an effective parent in this world is something that you have to learn, practice, and commit yourself to.
So we'd been through a night of just struggling to calm him down and to get him to go to sleep. And once we finally did, we had just, a few minutes there at the end of the night, laying in bed talking about it and saying to each other, is it always going to be this hard? And what are we going to do? How are we going to survive this? How are we going to get back to real life? Because it can't continue like this.
At first, well, right after she was born, everything is so new and amazing, and you're on such a natural high. I mean, you've just given birth to this little tiny person, so you're just overjoyed and happy, and everything's okay, and tired. But then, after a couple weeks, the exhaustion sets in, reality sets in, and you sort of have to wake up a little bit. And it's scary at first when you realize that you're suddenly completely responsible for the well-being of another little person.
Oh, it's scary, but it's heartening.
Welcoming a new baby into your life is a major adjustment. Learning to understand and respond to your baby's needs takes time for even the most well-prepared parents. During the first few weeks, it's important for the new family to build a protective wall around itself. New relationships take time to grow, and right now, everybody's just getting to know one another.
When we went into labor on Friday night, as we were walking down our staircase, I looked at Jim and I said, when we come back into this house, it's not going to be ours anymore. We're going to share it. And that was really exciting, but really scary. And sure enough, when we came back in, it was a different place. And our schedule that we had worked out for years that worked for us no longer happened. We didn't read before we went to bed every night. There's no time to read. We both said, when do we get to read again?
Yeah, when the baby comes, you realize how small it's going to be. And for the first maybe month, I carried her in my arm like this. I was always concerned about keeping her head up and if I'm gonna drop her and if the dog's gonna play and jump on me and we're all gonna fall down. So all those kinds of things were real scary at first. But then I think everyone adjusts because the dog adjusted, I adjusted, and she adjusted. It worked out real well.
There are so many things that you do that you've never done before. Being up at night, walking around, holding the baby because she's got a cold and can't breathe. I'd never thought to myself about, if you're a grown-up and you get a cold, for instance, you just take medicine, it clears up your head, and you're able to sleep. And with a baby, there's no medicine. You walk around and you hold her, and so yeah, it changes things. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility, but it's a lot of fun too.
I didn't feel awkward about things like holding the baby, feeding the baby, things like that. But when it came time to do finer work than that, changing clothes, changing diapers, I sure did. I felt awkward. I felt like I was going to hurt him. And then I would see a nurse or my wife or my wife's mother, you know, change his clothes and just whip right through it, you know, and just kind of toss him around. And I'd think, wow, how can they do that? I didn't feel comfortable enough to do that. I felt like I had to be really, really careful with him.
It's easy for new parents to be intimidated and confused. Child care books fill library shelves, and it seems everyone has a different opinion of how to take care of a child. Actually, the standard list of newborns' needs are fairly simple. They need to eat, sleep, be clean, and loved. And how you go about satisfying those needs depends upon you and the baby. No two babies are alike. What works for one may not work for another.
Well, I think newborns are fairly, they cry for basic needs, hunger, they're tired, they're sleepy. They have to, all human babies have a temperament. Some babies are very high energy babies who cry a lot and some don't. And so it doesn't matter what the parent does, they're just going to have to express their own temperament.
She needs to go to sleep at certain times and eat at certain times and be changed, and it was hard to figure out what to do when in those first couple of weeks. But once we were able to figure out which cry meant that she was hungry and which cry meant that she was bored, we developed a schedule, and now we can just sort of fine-tune it here and there as we need to.
When they're that young, they can't communicate exactly what they need, so you just have to be patient and try the best you can to settle them or to comfort them or do whatever they need.
Maybe especially for dads is don't take it personally.
Yes.
You know, if I know sometimes at first, if I'd have a particularly hard time with him or if he was really upset and just crying, screaming in my face, I'd think that, well, he doesn't like me, you know? He likes you, but he doesn't like me.
A lot of the household kinds of things that needed to occur, I took over, where most of her time was devoted to the baby and dealing with her.
I wasn't very shy about asking for help from anybody. Parents, Charlie, I didn't even ask, I just demanded. I'm not in this by myself, and I made that very clear from the beginning.
If somebody's primarily doing most of the work, housework or something like that, you have to change off a little bit because one person can't do everything.
The list of your child's needs may be simple, but your needs have become more complicated. Before the baby, the roles you played in the house were probably not very important. Laundry, cooking, cleaning, you either shared, took turns, or traded off. Suddenly, who does what can become vitally important and a potential source of bitterness and conflict.
Sharing of parental responsibilities has to be a conscious decision on both parents' parts. The worst thing that we see is the assumption, especially by the woman, that the man is going to help. It has to be spoken about clearly, directly, and in no ambiguous terms. The agreement has to be on feedings, or on timeout, or on combining the two lives.
I think every night we tell each other what we have to do the next day and juggle it from there.
Right.
And if we're both busy, my mother has been a real big help.
Our situation is kind of an interesting one because Nate does most of the child care. I'd say a major portion of the child care is his responsibility. So it's kind of a role reversal, but we found that it's worked out very well, and we found that a lot of other people are doing this too.
My wife works in the evenings. I have pretty much a 9-to-5 job. She works from about noon to 9 p.m. So once she went back to work, I was taking care of the baby from 5 to 9. And, you know, always before, that was time that I had to myself.
I haven't started back to work yet, but If I had my druthers, I'd rather stay home with my kids. A lot of us don't have that luxury to afford to stay home.
We are a generation of parents caught in a time warp. Studies show that both parents work in more than 75% of our families. Every day, parents all over the country struggle with the problem of who will watch the kids.
The traditional support that came from the extended family, like grandparents, is not a possibility for many families like ours. Our parents don't live nearby.
One of the greatest problems we see now is the issue of being a supermom, someone who's trying to balance career and parenthood. It is possible to do so, but you have to lower your expectations both about your work performance and your ability to do everything for your child. You have to set priorities and determine what's the most important things in both worlds, professional and personal.
When it comes to solving the child care dilemma, families have come up with solutions that fit their needs. Parents of young babies sometimes will try to find a sitter who will come to the family's home, or someone who takes only a small number of children in her home.
You know, with a newborn baby, at first I couldn't even believe that we were going to have to take him somewhere. You know, it just didn't seem right. Because we considered having someone come into our home, and we just weren't able to work it out. So, you know, we ended up going with somebody who was doing daycare in their home. And for me, it just makes it a little easier to deal with, because he's in a house, he's being cared for by someone who is a mother and is good at what she does.
Oh, this daycare is lovely. I love this daycare. If it wasn't for this daycare, I would go through a lot. Trying to find a babysitter. My grandmother works, my mom works. My mom works late at night, so it'd be hard for her getting up, taking care of her, and then have to go to work. So really, this daycare is a lifesaver.
Ask any potential caregiver and yourself these questions. How qualified are the caregivers? How clean and safe is the facility? How much parental involvement is allowed? How sensitive are they to your child? How are the other children behaving?
They should be licensed, they should have TB tests, they should know how to use CPR, they should know how to use first aid methods. This is extremely important. One thing you do wrong and a child's life could be lost. It's a big responsibility. I get very upset with people who consider this a menial job. I do not consider it a menial job.
She is into everything. She is into everything. She likes to get in the kitchen sink or under the kitchen sink, bathroom sink, closets. She'll walk into my den. She'll walk up the steps.
Why don't you guys go play? Most of us want to see ourselves as kind, loving nurturers. We want to teach and guide our children with patience and understanding.
Well, perhaps that's why most of us find it so disturbing the first time that we find ourselves having to say no or being the bad guy.
Many parents who eagerly await their baby's first steps come to regret them. The joy and fulfillment of seeing your baby develop through its first year can quickly diminish when you realize you'll be the one chasing down the active toddler. Just when parents become comfortable with the jobs of protector and nurturer, they find themselves forced into far less attractive roles, authoritarian limit setters and disciplinarians.
Most of the time, all you have to do is threaten if you don't behave. But sometimes you just have to sit him down in a chair. If he won't sit in the chair, you have to sit and hold him in the chair.
No, for the most part, Peyton doesn't have the temper tantrums and things. We're pretty lucky in that she's a real good baby. She'll stand and whine sometimes when she wants her way, but it's short-lived. She'll realize, well, I'm not going to get that. I'll move on to something else.
Experts say that these years are the worst for child abuse because parents overreact to a toddler's behavior.
The terrible twos are partially a myth and partially the truth. It's the move for a child to become an independent, functional entity. They are challenging authority, limits, they're testing their world. It's usually when they become mobile and they become verbal. The way in which you do that is, one is to set up a parenting plan that is consistent from the day the child is born. The other is open discussion between the parents, and then consistency in the application of whatever the kind of, I don't like to use the word discipline, but behavioral shaping that may go on in the family. A child needs consistent messages that define their behavior as acceptable, not acceptable, safe, or unsafe.
A child who is just starting to learn the basics of self-control and negotiation needs a clear idea of what the limits are. Children don't know until you show them and then enforce the limits. It is important for the parent to remain in control, so the child learns how to maintain control too.
Not too often do I think we have to discipline her, but right now we generally just try to take her out of the situation, whatever the situation is. Generally, she's doing something like, she has this habit of tearing a paper, putting it down the fence.
We use timeout, and it's pretty effective for this one. He's pretty sensitive, and I know some children it doesn't work for, but he thinks it's terrible to have to sit in the living room by himself. Or I've put him in his room a couple times when he's out of control.
Although their emotional intensity may be alarming, toddlers have a short attention span and can easily be distracted. By remaining calm, a parent can quickly offer a diversion and diffuse a conflict. You'll have peace of mind if you make sure your home is a safe place for children to play. A safe environment gives them less of a chance to get into trouble. Look at your home from your child's point of view. From their level, you can see all the sharp corners, power cords, and outlets that are within reach. Apart from removing dangers, you may also want to temporarily store other objects that you value, or at least put them far out of reach.
Being the parent of a toddler is an amazing time. Those little minds are so thirsty for information. She wants to touch, hear, and try every new thing.
There's so much to enjoy as a child tries to master new skills.
Books are a big part. I'd say both of us read her quite a bit every day, and she gets a lot of stimulation that way. And I think that's good because she can associate also pictures with words and what things really mean.
Children learn by watching and imitating you. Parents need to encourage their children to learn and copy and do things for themselves. Don't be quick to criticize mistakes. That'll only turn off a child.
If you take the time you should take with your kids, then it's not like working. If we read a book or if we color, if we take a walk, we talk about the trees, we talk about the animals we might see. You can teach your kids without ever knowing that you're teaching them.
Our kids have been in preschool since they were 2, just 2 mornings a week, but they learn tremendously from the other children. Within that framework, we are not a family who watch Power Rangers on television, and yet my children know who the Power Rangers are based on their classmates and playmates and that type thing who do watch that. That certain amount of exposure and things like that you can't control, but you can talk about at home then and explain.
We live in a town where people like to go for walks, and so we put Hayden in his stroller, let Andrew ride his bike with his helmet on, and one of us has to walk a little faster to be up with him on his bike.
Children have changed your life. They haven't ended it. You may not be able to do the things you did before you had a family, but you can still have fun. Just being together can be fun.
We all love to be outside. we'll have fun as a family by going to the parks, having picnics. Most of the time it'll probably be spent outdoors. You can still, if you can't afford to do anything, you can still have fun as a family.
We have taken to ice skating this year, which is a new family activity for us, and we have had such a great time doing it all together.
Do it today.
Yes, we're going to do it today, aren't we? We really enjoy that, and we are big on taking family walks, aren't we? And especially in nice weather, almost every evening after dinner, we take a nice long walk before bed and talk and visit and look at things, plants and flowers and trees, and that's always been a good time for us to be together.
Somewhere around the time your child hits her 3rd birthday, you may look in the mirror and realize something has changed. You didn't notice it happening, but somehow it no longer seems strange to be asking someone if she needs to potty.
You've gotten used to being known as mom or dad. In short, you become a professional parent.
Hey, Kate, you want some help? You want some help? Come here. Barney's here. Look, Barney.
I can't remember what I said. I said something the other day, and my mom just laughed at me because it was something, you know, like when you're younger, and someone said, well, I'm never going to say this. And I said it, and I was like, oh, goodness. But I don't even remember what it was that I said. My mom just started laughing.
Having children has affected my life, I'd have to say, in good ways. All of them are good ways. My toddlers have taught me how to slow down. I've started that old saying, seeing life through the eyes of a child. They make me notice things otherwise that I just go pass by, not even paying attention to. They keep me young, keep me moving.
One thing that really just made me know real quick that it was worth it is the first day that I came home from work, and she got all excited when I came through the door. And it just tugs at your heart. You're like, oh, this is really worth it. You know, it's real good. Everything that you do, the sleepless nights, the extra work, being tired, it's really worth it to see that little smile.